Alright. Does this, Alright. What? Why can't I hear my... What? Oh. This, okay. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna make this a little bit... Actually, oh, shit. Okay. I have a little bit of a more professional setup this time. First of all, hello everyone that's decided to join this little stream. Hope everything's working. This is in 1080p. That's great. All right. Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, just spam F into the chat. Spam F. F. Okay, it's working. Yes, great. All right. Let me just switch my YouTube account. I'm gonna edit the stream really quickly, so that I mean, everything's fine. So I don't think I have to edit anything. Let me take a look at this. Where does it say true? What the hell? Okay. I'm gonna copy over my Twitch. So if you guys have not followed me on Twitch, I'm gonna put a link into the description. I'm gonna put it up to music production. There we go. Save changes. Live control room. Good stream. Great. Can I put in... Okay, I don't think it matters. Okay, great. Alright, I'm live streaming. That's great. Okay, I can see it. The thing is, what I did now is I can actually read your comments because I've got my MacBook on my left. So I can see everything. Oh, I can change. Okay. Okay. I think I can change the thumbnail, right? Oh no, I can't. Because I guess it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. Let's do this. Spam the two. There we go. Boom. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm using Restream from for streaming on Twitch and YouTube. So I think it'll actually be a little bit hard to read the chat on Twitch. Let me see though. Which shit are you looking at? Yeah, I'm mostly looking at the YouTube one right now, but I'm gonna make sure to also look at the Twitch one. Here we go. Yeah, this is a much better setup. I just have my MacBook on the left. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. I think we can start with the stream now. I'm gonna close this. Okay, here we go. There's 72 watching now. That's great. Newsfeed, your story. Boom. All right. Okay, I announced it on social media. Any super packs or any web. Okay, wait. Let me switch the. Let me go to editor. Let me switch it to scene, so you guys can actually see something. I'm gonna head over to. I think I'm just gonna head over to Ableton, and I want to change something really quick. I'm just gonna make. Gonna use a light. Oh no, that's way too light. Let's use mid dark. No, let's use mid light. That looks fine, right? Oh, should I make it? Is this too bright? Very little latency as well, which is great. Never mind about that. All right. Hello everyone that decided to join. I'm gonna read the chat now. Yeah, this is probably too bright. Okay. Yeah, mid dark is or dark. Yeah, let's go with mid dark. That's a little bit less depressing. It's too bright. Dark. Yeah, mid dark is perfect. Okay. Great. And I just think like oh holy, just happened. Hello Yako. I'm actually going to open up Restream. No. What's it called? Streamlabs. I'm gonna open up Streamlabs. So I can actually see if someone follows me or subscribes or whatever. I'm gonna be streaming for. I think I'm gonna be streaming for a couple of hours. Not too long. Not a 7-hour stream. That was a little bit ridiculous. All right. Let me see. So I think that sucks. I have a question. If any of you actually use Streamlabs, can I have the same window open on another PC? Or can I not? How do I have the same? So I can. Okay, someone's just subscribed. Fused Sounds. Thanks for the subscription. OTT remix. The OTT song VIP. I don't think Insanic has subscribed. And another one has subscribed. Alright. No Sphere Music. Welcome. Okay, let's do something here. So I had some people request some certain things for what they want me to go through in the stream. And one of the things was to just sync between the account on Streamlabs. Yeah, I'm on Streamlabs on my Mac. But... Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah, I can see it now. Live. Okay. Yeah, okay, I can see it. Great. Perfect. Okay. Rings Music. Hello. So we've got 19 viewers on Twitch, which is great. And we've got 78 on 79 on YouTube. We need more drops like your track Problems. Yes. It's hard to explain, but like lately I've been focusing a ton on learning new sound, like new ways of doing sounds and sound design, and compositioning has sort of going back a little bit, but I'm definitely trying to get that back up because I've been listening to a lot of 2014 dubstep, and man, the composition back then was just so much better. I feel like nowadays it's just it's just 1/4 rhythm and you're good to go. Can you make a track with a vocal this time? I could probably use some of Kara's vocals. Show some sound design tricks. Maybe melodic stuff for this stream. I could probably do some melodic stuff. I love that. Right after I said that, someone commented, try making some OG rhythm. Yeah, I think we'll have to see. How you make your vocal effects? Which vocal effects? Alright, I think we should... Hello, Alex. I think we should go over some stuff. So, I kind of want to make a poll. How do I do this? I think I'm going to post a link into the chat, and then you can vote for whatever poll. Okay. Stream. Let's call it stream focus. Drum synthesis. We're gonna do drum synthesis. I'm actually gonna do this on this PC so you guys can see it. I'm gonna go to poll generator. Okay, let's use this site. Close this over here. Let's go. Oh, my bad. And inside the vocoder rack, it's pretty much just vocoder and OTT. Are you gonna review songs someday? That can be fun. Yeah, I can probably do that. Totally. Let's fly to those. Whoops. Oh, wow. Okay. So, stream ideas. So we're gonna put in drum synthesis. What else do you guys want to see? You now have the option to just smash your keyboards and tell me what. Play Despacito. Sound design. What specifically in sound design? Oh, vocal process. Okay, we can do also vocal processing. You have to be a little bit more specific about sound design. Vocoder tutorials. I'll make a thick growl. Thick growl we can probably do. Vocoding for dubstep basses. FM synthesis. I think what would be interesting is FM synthesis with operator, because there's some certain things about that are quite interesting. Or dubstep drop arrangement. I think a dubstep drop arrangement just comes down to practice. Lead design. We are number one. Oh, stop. Oh, no, stop, Simon, stop. Okay, someone just followed or subscribed. Great Soul has subscribed. Hello, Great Soul. Gold Grill's breakdown. I could probably do that. The project would just take forever to load though, so, and it would be super laggy. Oh, I actually have to do something before we do anything else. I need to switch. By the way, you guys hear the music, right? If you hear the music in the background, just spam F again. Audio. FL Studio, there we go. But yeah, if you can hear the background music, just spam F. Okay, you can hear the background music. Okay, great. Mix and mastering. We can do that, yeah. Mastering. Okay, so we've got drum synthesis, vocal processing, just call this scroll sound design, FM synthesis with operator, which I find quite interesting. We can go over the meat rack as well, what's inside of it. Erst mit, wie man Akkorde für eine Melodie findet. Das ist auch eine gute Idee. Kann ich auch machen. How to make your own compression distortion rack. Yeah, I think we can talk about that in the meat rack. All right, let's see in Twitch. Maybe someone suggested something there as well. Grow sound design. KDM. Oh, you're talking. Okay, you said someone else. All right, I think let's fly remix context. The thing is, okay, so here's the thing why we decided not to do Let's Fly. Here's the thing why we decided to. Let me quickly switch this. I have a ton of stuff on my desktop I don't want you to see. Fly EP. Okay. So here's the thing about Let's Fly that's a little bit of a problem. Well, at least I had a little bit of a problem with it. As to why we didn't want to give out stems for it, because I feel like people would have had a little bit of a problem with it. Proto lizard, that's not legal. We can't do that here. All right. So the reason why Let's Fly was a little bit of a problem for me personally. Okay, let's turn this down a little bit. Alright, so the reason why Let's Fly was a little bit of a problem for me personally is the whole intro till I think this is 145 or 150. It's probably 150. No, 145. Alright, let's cut this right here. I think this should probably go over here. Why don't I remember the... Yeah, it's 150. Never mind. Can't remember the BPM to my own songs. That's great. And obviously, kind of nice, but... Okay, so... Here's the thing about Let's Fly that was a little bit of an issue for me personally. The whole intro, this whole part, and also... this melodic part, the breakdown, they all sound great and beautiful and all that kind of stuff because they're in C major, and it's just like a really good key for sort of cute sounding or beautiful sounding music. But the problem was the drop is F minor. And it was kind of hard to pull this off because what we did is have the transition, the key transition from C major to F minor. So basically this whole thing, let me actually see how, if I can, I think it's possible, insert time signature. So this was C major. Okay, apparently this is not showing it. Delete, okay. So this whole part here, I'm gonna Control E. Let's call this C major. This was F minor. So the thing is, this whole part here is C major. And then over here, it actually goes over to, I'm going to call this transition. And it's kind of hard to like notice easily. But this is indeed, like this part right here is indeed F minor. And the reason why it's not very apparent is just because we still have the ARP from this part playing. And this is a really cool trick you can do. So, for example, if you have an intro that's major, any sort of major key, if I go over here, even though I'm not a music theory person, personally, you can go, what was it? Relative minor chords. So I think it was, Wikipedia. So they have this little part here, this little graph, and they show you the major key, which would, for example, be C major, and then they would show you the relative minor key. And the cool part about that is, for example, you can have an intro in C major, and you can have the drop be in A minor, which is still fine. You don't want your drop to be in C major, because then the sub is just going to sound terrible. But what was actually different for Let's Fly is that the drop wasn't actually A minor, because we started it off in F minor, mainly because I think Panda started the drop, and he was just listening to the chords, and they actually started at F, at some sort of F chord, and that's why, obviously, if that's sort of the fourth, you know, in a lot of chord progressions, the first chord is sort of the bass note, or like the key note of the whole musical key of the tune, and that's why he started off the drop in F minor, and it sounded really good in F minor. But once we noticed, okay, this has to be actually A minor for it to sound super smooth and sound right, the drop just didn't sound good. The thing is, just the sub resonates a lot better in keys like F or G sharp or E. Yeah, pretty much. As Abbas said, relative keys is nothing but different keys that comes under the same scale. So it's pretty much just the same keys, but just how do you say it? It's just I don't even know the German word, I think. No, I don't even know the German word for it. But it's just offset, pretty much. The first key, or the first note in that key just starts somewhere else. But it's still the same amount of notes. Yeah, pretty much. Same keys, but different order, exactly. And the thing is, with Let's Fly, the drop is actually F minor, and the intro and breakdown and outro is C major, which are two keys that actually don't fit together, but we eventually made it fit. It's kind of hard to explain, but like making this track was probably the hardest from the whole EP, because it was super hard to pull off that transition. And I'm glad that people can still enjoy it. But yeah, that's why we didn't do any stems for it, because it would have just been very tedious for people to sort of start remixing the track, having really good intros, and then when they start making the drop, they notice something is off, you know? And we didn't want that to happen to people, so we decided we'd go with gold grills. But yeah, let's go. I'm gonna create this poll. Say C is 1, A is the 6th degree of scale. You can always find the relative minor if you go to the 6th. Yeah, probably. You can probably just find it inside. There's probably just some sort of trick to it. Alright, let me copy this. Let me paste it into the stream, and then you guys can vote. Can I? Error, try again. Oh, okay. I think I just have to like do something like that, probably. No? Why can't I paste the stream? The link. Make a drop from scratch, no presets, not anything. Serum audio effects, nothing, and what you do after making the basic layout. I'll always do my tunes from scratch. Beat rack. Come back or WDA, DG, AF, and try to recreate that type of roll. Maybe off stream, because a lot of labels, they kind of just block videos on YouTube, and I don't want my stream to get blocked. Have space.coms. So link to run. Oh, there we go. Okay, so just all you have to do is just copy the link, and then in that little space you just put in just like this. So I'm gonna copy this like that. I'm just gonna, oh, you're not gonna paste it, but you're gonna put a little dot into that little space, and then it still doesn't work because you have to also do the same thing here. Whoops. Okay, let me just repaste that. There we go. Okay, so just paste that. And then put the little point in there. And then it should redirect you to this thing. And then we're going to check that out in about like 5 minutes. Until everyone has checked it out. I'm also going to paste it into Twitch. All right, there we go. Alrighty, we've got 90 people on YouTube and 25 on Twitch, which is great. Let's go ahead and do something. All right. I'm gonna read the comments really quick. Can't copy link in chat. Can't copy link in chat? You can't copy it? Can you explain the effects on the bass groups? Reverb effects group, delay and stuff. Sure. I actually have a little bit of a project I can show you. It's definitely experimental for the drop. Let me see that drum synthesis. I'm most interested in drum synthesis. The phone. So, oh yeah, if you're on your phone, then it might be difficult. Absolutely. How do we do it then? I wouldn't know how to do it. Someone just subscribed. Zane's Home just subscribed. Hello, Zane's. Show your favorite drums. My favorite drums are actually my own because I make all of my own drums. Don't show the meat rack. Oh, trust me, it's fine. Like won't load and I remove the space, but I'm fine with anything. Yeah, I think in order to vote, you just have to be on a PC. Remove the space and then put in a point instead of the space. Add it to the description, maybe for now. Well, yeah, maybe actually into the description, that would be a good idea. Yeah, exactly. Instead of the space, just put in a dot. Make your own symbols. Impossible. Actually, you can make your own symbols. You can. I've done like hi-hats and stuff. And open hi-hats as well. I'm on PC and it's not working. Okay, let me just copy the link again. I'm gonna copy it right here. And I'm just gonna, so instead, oh, what did I just press? I ruined it. There we go. So instead of the underscore, you put in a point, just a dot. All right, here we go. Any good resources for advanced drum mixing and synthesis? Resources. Can you specify? Okay, you guys can't. Actually, can you guys hear this? Wait, let me check. Yeah, you guys can hear it. Great. Okay, I'm gonna go over to my volume mixer. I'm gonna turn down this music. There we go. Really quiet now. People want you to beat the meat. They're good tutorials for non-basic mixing and drum synthesis. I'm having trouble finding anything that expands on the basics. Yeah, I get you. All right. So this is a little thing I've been working on. Let me just completely turn off the background music. Just do it like that. There we go. So wait, you guys can't hear anything now, right? Like no background music. I just need to specify. Just need to make sure. If you don't hear anything, like no background music, just press F again. Just spam F. Just spam F if you can't hear the background music anymore. The lo-fi kind of stuff. Okay, great. All right. Here we go. So this is a little thing I've been working on. The drop still is kind of just a work in progress. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it or if I'm going to do something else. Okay, Ableton is too loud. I've just read. You can turn it down. Get in the utility. Let's just turn it down like 6 decibels. Should be fine, right? Okay, I gotta do one thing here. One thing I don't like in this little part. I just noticed it. It's that sweet little slide. Right, that was just like a little idea I had for the drop. I had something else before. It was far too heavy though. It didn't fit with it. But wait, why did I? Yeah, the bass group. Right. So I did something special actually today in here. I'm gonna turn it off for now. But this is what my bass group looks like. I'm gonna play this solo with a sub. Okay, I'm just gonna group everything that's inside the group. Well, that's on the group, pretty much. And I'm gonna turn it off, and I'm gonna play it again, and let's see what that kind of changed. So it's super clean, and I think it actually has sub as well if you listen to it. Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, that's the whole group, all the basses without anything, and then obviously with a separate sub that I put in, just makes it. But yeah, so what I have in here is first of all, obviously a low cut, as you can see. Then I have this little drop reverb filler, and it's actually quite genius because what I'm doing is I have a clean reverb layer of the whole basses, so you can hear this is pretty much. I can make this really loud actually. Let me just Valhalla room. And I'm also obviously removing some mud. And then I have a compressor on that, and the compressor is actually, what it's doing is it's sidechaining the sound by itself, but before the reverb. So it's hard to explain, but it's pretty much just whatever the bass is actually playing, the reverb, as you can hear right here, the reverb gets stuck, and that sort of creates the illusion of overcompression. And I have another reverb on here. Let me just turn this down again. So that's the drop reverb filter. You can pretty much use it on almost any drop and it'll sound pretty cool. And what's another thing that's really cool about it is the release time. So I can turn this down a lot and then the reverb comes in a lot faster. But if I turn it up, you can hear it takes a lot longer for the reverb to come in. It sort of has this like sucking effect, which is great. I think this reverb is, let's see. Oh yeah, this is just another reverb just for the sucking effect. Very standard. It just makes things more dynamic. This reverb I think is, what is this one for? Oh yeah, this is for this part. For the yoink. Then I just have a glue compressor on there to just glue things together a little bit. Just compress them together. I don't have the soft clip on because I've decided to just use a saturator instead and drive it in even more. And then I use this audio effect rack. And what I like to do, for example, if you have a break, I think it's in this part actually. Yeah, so what I like to do here is just have sort of have this little version. That's usually just some delay and a reverb. And then whenever you have a break, you can just activate that. And then you have that nice little, because without it would just sound like this. Are we kind of boring and like this? It just goes in very nice. And then I actually had another one in here. This is something I tried today. I've added this little plugin that they had that Ableton introduced in this cool little pack called the Creative Extensions. And this is just a color limiter. It's supposed to sort of emulate something the maximizer kind of does with saturation and compression. And what's really nice about it is just like if you put this on the basses, you can really just over compress them like crazy, which is sometimes really nice because sometimes you want that 2014 Barely Live kind of mixdown, which is great. I actually love the old mixdowns, even though obviously they might have not been the best for live performances, but they still sound super great. But yeah, that's what I usually have on, and then another EQ. And here's a little chord trick I've learned. So someone was asking in the chat. Actually, before we do that, let's check the poll. Let's go over to the results and see what you guys voted for. Let me also turn the music back on because why not? Okay, so most I should have known that. That was kind of obvious, wasn't it? Okay, so 9 people voted for drum synthesis. So we're going to do that. Actually, grow sound design. Oh, wow. Great choice of numbers right there. So we're going to do the meat rack first. Then we're going to go over to the grow sound design. and then probably to the drum synthesis, and then we can do some mixing and mastering. And I think I'm not sure if we have enough time for the other two, because I don't want to. It's almost 10 p.m. and I actually have some sort of sleep schedule now, so I don't want to ruin it too much. But I'm pretty sure I can probably do another 3 hours, so we have enough time. So the basis patch. What I actually did here is a little bit of an unorthodox thing. I've in this drop I created this little workstation group, which I call workstation. And what I have in here is actually MIDI. And what I do is I have all of these channels down here, which are audio. They all are directly, they have the input from the workstation. So whenever I make a new sound, for example, that's the scroll. For example, this sound, I can just click, for example, on this one right here. Actually, not that one, because that one is... What is that? That's not even doing anything. Anyways, I'm going to click on, for example, this one, and I can just directly record whatever I want. This one has a gate on it. Let me just... which is great. This enables you to sort of just instantly resample things and just use them whatever way you want in your drop. For example, in this little part. This bass right here. I'm actually pitching it with the Complex Pro. Because sometimes you can't really pitch certain sounds just in Serum. It'll sound weird if you have like comps filter on and reverb and all that kind of good stuff. Then you just want to resample it and work around it. But yeah, let's get over the 26. Wow, you guys really want to see what's in the meat rack, huh? Great. All right, I'm gonna open up a new live set and then we're gonna go over it. Someone just subscribe. Let me check. Elijah and Tusios as well. Serious Tim, Unplinked, the free Twitch stuff. Mikino, Bakiko Twitch. The same song we already had. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for following on Twitch, by the way. I think of streaming on Twitch in the future. I just feel a little bit more comfortable on that site for some reason. I can't explain it. And we've got another two, X-Tact Music and Sombrex. Okay, let's go over the meat rack. There's a couple of things in it. It's not just like the fat rack from Virtual Riot. It's I feel like this is more sort of an overall kind of plugin, like an overall processing kind of plugin. It's not just designed for basses. It's designed for pretty much anything. You don't have to overdo it. You can, if you don't overdo a certain type of effect, you can pretty much use it on anything. But let's go ahead and make a little note here. Let's do F, because that's what dubstep is now. So let's make this simple, a very simple bass. By the way, get the skin. The skin is free. This is by, I think he was called Lance. Let me check Twitter really quick. Yeah, I think I can probably just go on Twitter. Never mind. I think I actually retweeted it. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't known, if you haven't seen yet, I've my Exoterior's just released. Personally, this is one of my favorite tunes that I've done in a while. Very low quality on Twitter. I don't know why, but you can check it out on Spotify and SoundCloud and everywhere. But let me go down here. I actually retweeted a tweet when you, yeah, this one right here. Get this skin. This skin is super good and it's free. I think he had a draft a couple of months ago, or even like a year ago, and everyone wanted it, but he never finished it. But now he finally did. But yeah, I love it. And if I want to go old school, if I get sick of this skin, I can just use my own, this vintage serum right here. But I'm really loving this Prometheum skin right now. Anyways, let's make a quick little base. I'm just gonna go. I love the massive wavetables for some reason. I think they're great. Let's just use this wavetable. Squarify it so we don't have any even harmonics and it doesn't sound growly. Oh god, no. Let's switch it. Let's switch it. Yeah, let's use this one. I don't know why, but like I just feel like the whole massive wavetables just sound very, very different from each other, and that's why I love them. Let's use a little bit of FM on it. And let's use a level on it, like that. And let's go with a high pass notch filter. And let's go with... Alright, that sounds cool. Let's turn on the chorus. Yeah, okay, that sounds fine. So we're gonna start off like that because this is gonna sound great with the meat rack, as you can hear. So that's sort of the before and after, pretty much. But it's not necessarily something you couldn't achieve with very simple post-processing. For example, if we add an OTT, obviously, a saturator. Let's actually add the saturator before the OTT. Let's drive it in. And let's put this on peak, because I like peak more. And let's just duplicate this a couple of times. Okay, never mind. Let's switch it back to RMS, because otherwise it's just... Yeah, you can hear... And if we now just add, say, some strong saturation and then some blue compression. If I just group this, and I'm gonna turn it off, you can almost get the same effect. So it's really not that hard, and it's just by doing something unorthodox, pretty much. And as you can see, this almost sounds the same, even though my version sounds a little bit cleaner. And I can do something like this, which is with less, it has more dynamic range than this. And, right? That sounds pretty decent. And the thing is, why Meat Rack is still better than that is because not only do you have the meat, not only do you have, you know, different types of OTTs in here, not only do you have the drive, which is, by the way, insane, because that really makes something, makes it loud. You also have the stereo option, which can make it instantly stereo and sound super nice. And sometimes I go ahead and get a little less muddy afterwards. So you don't need to, you know, play around with the voices in Serum, because that's just gonna mess up your face. But let's go inside of Meat Rack just so you can see what it's really about. Okay, so let me open this up. So the first thing I have in here, and this is the stereo, now this is literally just the Ozone Imager. And Slink had a video. Slink. Love his videos, by the way. Shout out to him. He had a video well, he kind of figured out how to recreate that stereo effect. That, it's one of his videos. I'm not sure which. Yeah, this one right here. He figured out how to recreate the effect that Ozone Imager was doing. And if, for example, if I put this in front, and let's put this to 3 milliseconds, and let's go to stereo-wise and put this to 3 as well, you can kind of hear it's the same effect. So I'm gonna turn it off, turn it on. Remember what that stereo sounds like. And I'm going to go into Ozone Imager. Sounds the exact same. So it's literally the same effect. And I just took it from the video and I just kind of created it like this, made an old little version of it. And it's really great for anything, really. You can use it on guitars, you can use it on pads, anything, and even vocals, and it'll just sound great because it's such a good effect. And it's mono compatible as well. But that's the first part. Then we've got some OTT in here, which is... So here's the thing. What I like to do with this rack is have things optional. So that's why it's so great, because you can change things to the occasion. And so, for example, here I have this first OTT in here, which you can turn on and off, obviously. And you can see it just gives it some more compression, which it needs. But you can turn it off if you want a very soft sound. Then I have a second OTT, which is the soft OTT. And what I actually do here is, as you can see, the whole middle part is gone. And the whole middle part is just the compression, as you can see. So basically what I'm doing is, instead of compressing everything, like OTT always does, I'm just compressing the highs and the lows. Because the OTT effect is kind of, what it does is, if you hear this sound, and if, for example, if I load up an EQ, you can see that there's a lot of mid-range information. A lot of the mid-range stuff is really present. And what soft OTT does, so basically what OTT does is just push everything. But what soft OTT does is push these two regions. And you can hear, if you actually just hear, by just doing what I just did, it actually almost sounds like I've used something like OTT on it. Because those are the areas that OTT is really bringing forward. So you don't actually have to use OTT. You could probably use EQs and just a compressor. You would kind of get a similar effect. But that's what soft OTT does. So soft OTT is really great because, let me show you. If I do a very, like a sound like that. So you can hear the sound is very dynamic. You can hear it goes, whoa. If I just have the normal OTT on, you lose a little bit of that dynamic. As you can hear, let me actually create a new audio channel. And let me go to 5.0 and just resample. So that is the clean sound. Let's add some OTT out to it. And you can see, not only is it louder, but the loud parts start happening a lot earlier. With the soft OTT, you can actually hear it looks a lot more like this waveform. So this is the normal OTT. This is the soft OTT, and this is just no OTT. And so that's the soft OTT option. Then after that OTT comes utility. And I have this utility in here because I can really drive it into the compression and saturation, or I can drive it back and have it be softer, as you can hear. So you can have a very aggressive sound, or a sound that's just has this sort of frequency enhancement that this rack provides. Then after that, I have a vocal compressor, which is called CLA2A. I've got this a couple of months ago, because I just wanted a sort of analog sounding compressor, just something, just an out of the box compressor that isn't just your usual compressor. Pretty much, it has something to it. And this, what this compressor especially does is boost some of those highs, which is nice for bass sounds because you want them to be bright and in your face. So I have this one. And it's actually also, as you can see, it's also pushing in the compression on this side. And then the further I go up at some point, as you can see, it's also pushing in the gain, which is important because this doesn't have makeup, and makeup is pretty much just basically when you compress something. For example, if I get a compressor, I'm going to turn it off, and I compress something like that, it gets quiet, as you can see. But when I have makeup on, it sort of just it just pushes it back up, the amount of decibels you put it down. It's pretty much just an automatic volume that just turns it back up when you turn it back and when you turn it down. It's very simple. So that's what I'm sort of automatically doing here when I'm turning up the peak reduction, which is the compression, and the sound gets more quiet. I turn up the gain as well just to make it more loud again. Very simple. Then the isotope trash 2. The first one here is clip control. And isotope trash 2 is really just about finding whatever sounds good. You don't necessarily have to understand a lot of it because everything in here is really relative or really important, like dependent on the occasion. If you have a sound that needs a lot of saturation, then you need one of these distortion types that distort the sound a lot. If you don't need it, don't do it. Then I have disperser in here, which is another sort of just out of the box plugin. And this one just adds some weird phasey pitch effect. It's hard to explain what disperser really does, but I'm actually thinking of taking it out because it doesn't really do a lot. I might take it out, to be honest. I've never really use it, so just ignore that one. It's just optional. And after the disperser, I have another isotope trash. So there's 2 isotope trashes after another, and this one is on Crunchy Grunge in the drive section. And I think, yeah, again, so I'm just turning up the drive with the meat. And I think it's the same for this isotope trash. No, actually, in here, I'm turning up the mix. Don't ask me why. It just sounded better. That's why I did it. And then after the second trash, I have an OTT. And this one is also linked to meat. So, so that, because when you have a lot of saturation and compression, you want something that turns it back down a little bit. And this is what that OTT is doing. So actually there is only really one OTT that's active with a meat rack, with a meat effect, the meat effect here. It's just one OTT, and it's not even all the way up when you have it around here. So it's actually just a bunch of, well, it's also compression, obviously, because of the CLA2A. But after that, I have another trash too. And this one is also, I think, dialed in with a mix. And this one is Delicate Harmonics. And it's already driven in. And it's quite heavy. I'm pretty sure if I turn it off. It just adds a little bit more grunge to it. And then after that, I have a glue compressor, which is also turn in. As you can see, the dry wet. Just a lot of compression. And then put it just mashed into the soft clipper. And then I have an EQ. And this one is just going to, this one, if you use something like stereo, if you actually have stereo in there before the meat rack, this just makes sure that your sub doesn't phase out, or that you don't get any stereo problems with the low area down here. So it's just fixing that. And then afterwards, I have a final isotope trash too. And this one is the drive knob in here, which I also made into an independent plugin. Well, not plugin, but rack, which you call the driver. And this one just it's a multiband distortion, cut at 140 hertz. And basically what it's just doing is, when I turn it up, as you can see, this is tape saturation. It's really strong saturation, but it's very delicate in the beginning. As you can see, if I go to the low band and everything else band, This one, when I turn it up all the way, is at 7.4, and this one is at 6. And that's because the sub started distorting really quickly, and that's why I had to split it so that the sub would never actually distort like properly, and that's why this one doesn't go all the way, and this one goes up to 7.4. But then again, I just showed you how to sort of recreate that out of that sort of like super quick effect, where you have this like one bass, and then you just turn this on, and it's just immediately like a fat bass. You can literally, again, you can emulate that effect by using OTT saturator, push it in, copy these probably like a couple of times, and then maybe a final blue compressor with a lot of compression. But this is obviously just super quick, and it's not really the best way to do it because you lose all the dynamics, and you lose a lot of you just lose a lot of flexibility. Well, with Meat Rack, and that's why Oscar started using it a lot for Pan Eyes, is because it's just so occasional. You can just put it on anything, and then you can, either add a little bit of OTT in here, and a little bit of drive, or a little bit of soft OTT, and a little bit of stereo, a little bit of meat. Just beef it up a little bit. And that's what the Meat Rack is, pretty much. Just one out of many racks I've been doing over the past months. And I need to get some water, because my throat is getting really dry. I'll be back in a second. All right, I'm back. You guys have any questions regarding the Meat Rack? Let me check Twitch really quick. I want to see. Sidechain and sub. The sidechain and sub. I will in a second when it comes to mixing. Hey, I just joined the stream, so sorry if this was already asked, but I'm really stuck on a song I'm working on, and I can't get a main bass part of a drop that I like. Any advice, tips for severe writer's block? Can't even beatbox a drop I like. Yes. So here's the thing about writer's block. How I have always dealt with it is just by ignoring it. Well, not ignoring it, but like trying to just not, how do I say it? Wait, I only know the German word. Sometimes I only know the English word, and sometimes I only know the German word. It's weird. I'm a weird person. Umgehen. Bypass. Avoid. Yes. I usually just try to avoid that situation by just not producing. Because I think what's really important, what's super important when you're a music producer is that you have a creative environment. And for me personally, that just means sitting on my ass all day, but and watching YouTube and everything. But what's really important is that you have a creative environment. Because if you don't, then it'll be hard. Because have you ever tried producing without internet? Have you ever tried producing dubstep without internet? It feels weird. I don't know why, but for me personally, it feels weird to not be connected to the internet when I'm making dubstep. Because then you just cut off from the world. And it just feels like I'm making this weird music that I'm like literally the only one in my city that probably listens. Well, not the only one, but that very, very few people around me listen to. I don't know. It's weird. It's tabbing between Twitter and Ableton. Exactly. Okay. And Asker, how to separate the dry and the wet signal of the reverb and the basis group? It's very simple. So the first thing you do is if you have your bass, it's actually really cool bass. Sounds like a neurofunk bass kind of. Any advice on writing drops with Corpus? I don't use Corpus, to be honest. I don't know. I never needed it. All right. So what you can do is literally take any sort of reverb effect, put it to 100% like this, and then you press Ctrl G, or you can just right click on it, go to Group, and then you click on this little icon right here. You open up this chain selector, and then you just right click, go to Create a Chain, and that just automatically creates a new chain for you, which means that's a new input and output. And that's the clean one, and that's the reverb one. So now you have both. You can turn this off, or you can turn this one on. Very simple. And then you can mess with the reverb, and you can do whatever. For example, you sidechain compression from the own signal like that. And now when it's very dynamic sounding when you do something like that. But yeah, that's how you do the separate reverb and clean signal thing. What do I do to avoid creative block? Is listen to different genres. Totally. I like to listen to a lot of hip hop actually. Make good dubstep drop. I think making a drop now would be a little bit tedious. I've done that last stream. Maybe another streamer. I just wanted to do sort of a follow-up stream for the people that had questions from the last stream. I've been stuck on the same 2 bars for a couple of days now. Yeah. It happens to me sometimes as well. Like, for me, sometimes what would just happen is, like, I would listen to very old tracks of mine, and I would just be like, wow, I was really creative back then. And I'm just doing, like, regular stuff now. But I feel like that's always going to be the case. Like, you're always going to listen to older music, and you're going to be like, wow, it was actually kind of sick, Maybe it didn't have the best mixing, maybe it didn't have the best sound design, but the idea was pretty cool. And I've always thought that. I was, even though I was getting better at mixing and sound design, I was actually getting worse at composing. But I feel like that's just an effect you have, Because once you start trying to recreate what you did back then, you will notice it's just the type of style that allows you to be more creative with composing, I think. Cost to create that has cost to create more than normal? What do you mean modulation? How to make the thick chord stacks? What will you make comparatively? Make emotional melodies or aggressive basses? I don't understand that question. Maybe I'm just dumb. Wait, okay, let me see. Let me check Twitch really quick. Yeah, this stream will be saved on YouTube probably. All right, let's go back to the poll. And let's check what else we're gonna be talking about. Drums, no wait, roll sound design. God damn it, I wanted to do the drum synthesis. Okay, let's do, you know what, let's just do the drum synthesis first, since this is only like two voices. It's whatever, guys, right? Whatever. Okay. Drum synthesis. So do you guys want me to go over how to make kicks and snares, or do you guys want, because for example what I've been doing a lot lately was to make let me see if I think I still have, okay, I gotta do this really quick because again I don't want you to see my desktop. I might have something on that I don't want people to see, not sure. I'm pretty sure it's this program right here, kicks and snares. Dubstep kicks and snares, because I've been doing a lot of like trap drums as well. This one? Yes, it's this program. Okay. Let me turn this down a little bit. So this was a very experimental project. I just want to show it to you guys really quick. I'm gonna just turn down the music a little bit. So everything you hear in this tune, I'm pretty sure almost everything except maybe, yeah, actually everything, literally everything you can hear, even the drums, I've rendered them out from Operator. I think this is just with different processing, I think. No, actually it's this right here. Yeah, everything you can hear in this project is 100% Operator. Well, obviously with some post-processing plugins, but this is all Operator. Was it skipping? Check something. Yikes. There we go. Oh, it's still skipping? I'm on my CPU? No. Okay, that was weird. You maybe can never get synthesized drums to have much character without layering something on the dubber. Yeah, sometimes that's just the case. I love this part right here. So what's funny is like even this like this little layer, I think it's this. No. Yeah, this is actually, again, this is Operator, and what I did here is I actually used formant filters to create the illusion of sort of a vocal in here as well. I think this was white noise, but this especially has a very weird looking oscillator. But it just sort of recreates the vibe of real vocals when it's mixed. I don't know what's skipping. Something wrong with my I've had this again. Not sure what's going on, but yeah. So we can go over how to make trap drums, or we can just go over how to make, dubstep drums. I'm guessing you guys rather want to see dubstep drums being made, but let's go over that, I guess. All right. So I made myself a little bit of a machine here to create drums. As you can hear. Let me just put this down. As you can hear, this is sort of the out of the box kick you get with my with the rack I did. And send me a greeting in Spanish. Saludo. Muchos saludos de Alemania. Un saludo para Tommy. Muchos saludos, Tommy, de Alemania. I think that was right. Not sure. I don't speak Spanish natively. Trap drums too. Yeah, we will go over normal drums, and then we're gonna go over trap drums. No, I can't speak Hindi. Can you send me a greeting? I already did that. Tips for a good clean mix down of your music. Just don't overthink it. I'll show you in a second, but let's go over the drums first. So this is the snare, the kick, and this is the snare creator. I made out of the box snare and out of the box kick. I also did a snare tail layer, which sounds like this. So this is really cool as well. And then I also did a kick top layer, which is really nice to, just lay it on top of your kick and have a little bit of a texture to it, which is really nice. Because if you try to create a kick, one of the most important parts is the top layer. The top layer is so important because it's going to be the one thing in the mix that's going to stand out from the kick. And the other thing, obviously, is the sub and the pitch envelope. But the top layer is super important because that sort of determines how it sounds in your whole mix. How you make artworks? Probably. You also send me your drums too. Thanks. I will maybe do a sample pack soon. So no samples involved in that kick. Almost no samples. So the one thing that it does have as a sample, actually the two things, is the hat layer I have in it and the transient. So basically this is kick 2. So basically I'm monkey. And so I have the sort of, the sub, which is creating the kick. And it's actually fading in, as you can see right here. So it's not like this. It's fading in to make space for the transient. But as you can see, it's not like this, like all the way. There's still a little bit of it in there because that's sort of going to shape the transient as well and how it sounds. And then I have this transient layer here, which is the just the transient from another kick. But what's cool here is that I pitched it down, which already makes it sound a lot different. And I actually have a high pass filter on it as well, because I can show you if I put this back in. If I go ahead and just turn it back down, you can hear it doesn't really sound too great. It doesn't really mix in very well, but when I turn this up, it becomes more of that sort of nice, punchy and crunchy virtual kick. And I love those kind of drums. And then what's really nice about this is, first of all, you can just, mess around. With the sub, and then you can just cycle through all of the kicks. And find one that you like. And then just combine that with the hat layer, which is also a closed hi-hat, and then you can go through that as well. And they also provide a EQ in here, so you can change that around as well. You can also turn it down if you want. And then I actually have a disperser in there as well after that kick. And what it does is sort of, it just adds another pitch modulation, or like pitch envelope to it. It just makes it sound like that woolly kick, that sort of like heavy rhythm, heavy dubstep kind of kick that just really just sounds super heavy. Super heavy. And sometimes you want to use it, sometimes you don't. Depends on the mix down. Then this is just an EQ to get rid of all the stereo information from the hat. We just use that hat. And then I have a limiter just to boost everything. And what's really cool about this limiter, about Pro L2, is, for example, if we take any kind of, let's just take, whoops. Let's just take this drum loop. What's really cool about the Pro L2 is that it has this mode called Safe. And what's really great about it is that it's 100% distortion free. So you can boost it as much as you want. It's never going to distort. Well, all of the other modes usually distort. So that's really great for just pushing all of the low frequencies from a kick, just pushing them up and making the kicks just sound so much more heavy. So that's in there. And then I provided another EQ in here just to either boost or get rid of certain frequencies if you don't like certain frequencies. And then I have a glue compressor, and I usually just leave it the way it is, like this. And then just a volume shaper, just to, make sure that the kick doesn't look weird. And also a cleaner in here. I also have a perk layer if you want to, layer something crazy into it. Which you usually don't. And then the cleaner just triggers the volume shaper so that the sub doesn't look like this, which sounds super weird. Then it sounds more like this. Very simple. And then the top layer I have in here is just a regular kick, and I'm just high passing it. And then you can just go through and then just play together and see what sounds great, Oscar is here. Is he? In a kick, should the top end be stereo? You can make it stereo, sure. It doesn't have to be completely mono. Oh, you're on Twitch. Okay. Okay. But yeah, so as you can hear, that's already a really, really juicy kick. And then what I would usually just do is resample it. Get rid of this and get rid of this. And now, for example, you can actually see, I don't like the way this kick is looking right now. So what I'm going to do is I can just go into the volume shaper and make it a little bit more, maybe more like that. Record that. Actually looks bad as well, but I'm just going to cut it right here and smooth it out a little bit. And another thing I had, and I was, Wubix, I was showing me a track, and he had this one kick, and I felt like it had a very strong attack, but it didn't feel heavy. So another way to make your kicks sound super heavy is by, again, using the limiter, putting it to save mode, and then just boosting it like crazy. Because what it does is just, as you can see, the end of the kick here is getting quieter, and it's just going to boost that end. And then we can just fade it out a little bit, and then you have a super heavy kick. that is completely clean and doesn't distort, which is nice. And then over here we have the snare, and this snare is making snares is far more complex than kicks. So what I have in here is the first layer, which is the body and the transient. As you can see in here, we have the sine wave, which is the body. I'll turn off the transient, and then you can, change the pitch. And then you have the transient, and you can just go through here, pick different transients. And the transient is the most important thing for the snare, almost. It's just going to determine on how it's going to sound in the mix. And then you can also change the length. This is a really cool feature of kick too, is that you can change the length. So you can make it super snappy or super heavy, which is really, really nice. And I wish I could show you the same thing in the kick. Just load up the kick again. If I go in here and if I play the kick, I can make it super short sounding or super heavy. Same thing. And that's really nice to just get very, snares like these that sound super, super bright, super snappy. Or I can pitch it down. I have a super, super nice virtual kind of snare. And then I have this tail, which is a serum with white noise and a high pass filter. And then I also have the Ableton imager on it for stereo. And then an EQ, just to EQ it out. And then I have a clap layer, which, you can just go through and choose different claps. And they're also pre-amp, so you can see it like this. It's not going to interfere with anything. Super nice. Sounds super, super thick. And then I also have on the snare, the snare body. I have this volume shaper, so you can make the body of the snare a little bit more clean. Then I have an EQ in here, so you can EQ right there where the fundamental is. A disperser, which sometimes does some weird stuff, but it just adds like a pitch envelope onto it. Another EQ, some stereo, just to, if the snare doesn't have enough stereo information, you can just push it. Another EQ, so you can, for example, push those frequencies right here, or get rid of them if you want to tie the mix down. And then just finally a volume shaper. For example, you can have it super, super tight sounding, like that. And then you can add the snare tail layer I made, which sounds like that. And this one is really interesting because I'm using the tail of another snare. And then it's going into a Valhalla room. Then some EQing, some more EQing, and then some Pro L2, again the safe mode, just to boost it like crazy. And then a transient shaper to get rid of some of the attack, because without the two transient shapers, it kind of starts too early. So if I were to record that, you can see this actually is still fine, but on some of these, it kind of just interferes with the snare. So if I go in here, oops, you can see you want your tail to start over here, and you don't want your tail to start over here already. So that's why I have these two transient shapers in here that just delay it a little bit and push it back a little bit. But yeah, when you just combine the two, and then you can just go through some of the tails. For example, this one, and then I'm going to open up the tail from this one a little bit. You choose a different one. Sounds super tight, right? record it. Very nice. Now this is epic. And then you have a kick and a snare. It's just like super, yeah, this is like super quick. And I think this is warped. Very nice. Make a ride. We can definitely make a ride. Okay, let me just check the chats. Multi-Twitch. Oh, is Disciple streaming right now as well? Let me see. Oh yeah, they have the music stream on. You can just have that in the background. I love the fact that they started doing that as well. Really nice. All right, now. So those are the two. This is actually delayed for some reason. I don't know why. Don't ask me. Just put it like that. And one of the big pluses on making your own drums is the fact that they usually turn out to be very clean. If you do it a clean way, which is really nice because you can just pitch them in different ways. You can actually pitch it down as well. And they're going to sound super clean. One little tip though, if you want to pitch down a snare, use a frequency shifter. I made my own little rack here called Form and Bend. It's pretty much just a frequency shifter. And you can just pitch it down. And it usually just turns out better than just pitching it down like this. Because then you also lose all the high end. And like this, it just sounds a little bit doper. But yeah. And let me just get rid of this. Alright. Well, how the fuck you drag the sample within the clip like that? The sample? What do you mean? Let me just Alright, making rides and hats and symbols is very easy as well. So what you usually all you need is literally just white noise. So if I go to white noise, I can open this up. Just record that, put that in there, and let's put this to noise white. Okay, nice. Then just freeze it, and now you can literally make a ride or whatever you want. So for example, let's do a ride. So we're just gonna do it like that. Like that. Whoops. And now it sounds weird now, but it's just a bunch of EQs. It's reverb and some other processes you can do. For example, you can use something like a grain, where's it at? A grain delay. Whoops. To just add additional information. But yeah, for example, what I would start with is the first EQ, just high passing it. And then the second one is just high passing it a little bit more and then taking it down there a little bit. Then maybe adding some harmonics. And then another one would just be messing with it even more and then turning on the Valhalla room. Put it in the front. Adding some more harmonics. Because you just sort of artificially? Just sort of creating harmonics or information in the sound by just adding these EQ notches, which is a really cool way to do things. And then you can just move them around like that. And then we can add the grain delay to just add more madness to it. So, for example, let's add that and let's just layer that. And now we can just freeze that, flatten it, and just drag it out a little bit. Push it up. And there we go. That's how you can make your own rides. It's really nice. I think this is a little bit too loud. And again, you can, for example, play around with the doesn't really do much. But yeah, that's how I would go about making a ride. And then hats are very similar as well. Again, it's just a shorter version. So we're just going to load up another operator. And I'm going to switch it to noise white. Just, whoops. Just put it like that. Freeze track, flatten. And just take a random little bit out of it. Just like that. For example, what you can also do is just if you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, just take a pre-existing hat. Let me see if I have. Just hide it. So let's take this hat right here. So you can just look at that hat, and you can sort of try and recreate the way it looks. That's always the best first thing to do. So we're just gonna do something like that. We're just gonna recreate the way it looks, and that's already a good step. Now it doesn't sound the same way, right? But that's just because we haven't EQ'd it yet. So let's start EQing it. Already sounds a little bit more like a hat. Let's add some little notches. Well, not notches, but like, you know what I mean. And let's add some harmonics. Just like that. And as you can hear right now, we're adding sort of texture to the sound. And we could probably also go and add a meat rack, because that's just going to add additional harmonics. And that's just going to make a very interesting sounding hat. Let's add some stereo as well. Yeah, that's great. And as you can hear, that sounds pretty cool. So let's add a grain delay before that. Switch to sync. And let's mix that in. Freeze, flatten, boom. Just turn it down a bit. And it sounds a little bit closer to the other one. Maybe just... So we've made a hat. A ride. Right, it's pretty cool. All right. Let's just do it like that. But yeah, I think the ones that are a little bit harder to do are like things like crashes and things like open hi-hats. But I actually managed to do open hi-hats as well. It's just by let me see if I can Control Z to a point. Yeah, I can. Okay, it's doing it right now. Here we go. Nope. Let me do it. Okay, let's just keep it like that. Let's just add another operator. The thing is, the reason why I can do these things is because I was trying to create my own hip-hop drums, and I figured that I can probably take this process over to, you know, other genres. Let's add an open hi-hat. Let's add this one, for example. This is a hard one. So for example, if you want to create certain open hi-hats, or I mean open hats, or closed hi-hats, you can take a look at the spectrum, and you can clearly just recreate it. So let's just phase this out a little bit. Let's try and recreate the way it looks. And let's go ahead and just delete these EQs. This one as well. Oh, that sounds horrible. But let's open up the EQ here. And let's take a look and let's try and recreate it. So this is okay. Let's put a thing here. 1.6, 1.6. Let's open it up a little bit. It's probably not going to sound the same way because obviously you can't fully recreate a real instrument. Props to you if you can, but you can create sort of a hybrid of what it would be like. So let's add some more harmonics here. Like right there, maybe right there as well. Right there as well. And let's see what it sounds like. Sounds horrible, I know. Let's just add another EQ. As I told you before, this is we could probably also copy the EQ over. Oh god. Well, yeah, it's not always the easiest task. There's a ton of mid frequencies. You can maybe also play around. Ew. Maybe it's almost too much. But yeah. I mean, it doesn't really sound like a hat. You could probably try and freeze it and then maybe like pitch it up. Like that, yeah. You could probably use that. Then be like... Sounds a little bit odd, to be honest. Probably we need to EQ it. Take some of the strong... But basically, you can just create a very realistic sounding hat by just adding more and more and more and more of these little peak bells. By just pretty much just adding information. That's all you're doing. That's how sounds work. Let's put a saturator on that. Freeze it. Flatten. There we go. But yeah, you can eventually, if you just play around with it enough, you can probably come up with something that sounds pretty cool. And then if you want to create a open hi-hat out of something like that, you can actually, again, add the limiter, put it to buzz, and then just, not buzz, put it to save. And you can already hear, you're kind of now like just squashing it. And by squashing it, you are essentially creating an open hi-hat, which is just, you know, a long duration hat. So I'll do that again. But obviously you probably want to make sure that that actually sounds good. This currently sounds horrible, but that's fine. You know, it's a lot of trial and error. Yeah, you can probably also use comp filters. They are probably the fastest way to do it. But yeah. So that was the drum synthesis. Oh. Trap drums. Trap drums. Really important. let's go over some trap drums. So what's really interesting with like trap is that it doesn't really require much, but it's still super cool because it's so simple, but it's so effective. So if we want to make a, for example, a kick, would have a sub. We would just go on fixed. So whatever note we play, it's always the same. And then what we would do is we would turn on the pitch envelope. And we would add, a little bit of that pitch. And then you can actually add a second oscillator. So yeah, FMing, turn it down a little bit. And then you can do a really, really quick attack. So it just plays for a very short time, as you can hear. And what you're essentially just doing is you're creating a transient. And when you just mix that in a little bit, and then you just freeze it and flatten it, you can see you have a very long sub note. But you can just, for example, just do that. And then you essentially have a kick. And then what I like doing personally is adding drum buzz. Because drum buzz is just a really, really cool sounding. It's a really, really cool sounding effect plugin. And then when I, when I freeze and flatten that, and then maybe just add the limiter again, just to boost those frequencies back up, you have a very, very cool looking kick that you can actually use in a song. So that would be the kick. And you can also make snares, but snares are a little bit tricky as well, because they do require some layering, and it's usually just AO8, like AO8 and 909 samples. But we can try and recreate something. Let me solo this. Okay, whoops. There we go. So okay, so here's the thing. Trap snares take a long time to actually make. But we can probably try it. Control J, Control U, there we go. So what I like to do with trap snares is actually group them, create a new chain. And then what we can do is we can put in an external instrument. And we can route it to the same channel when we actually have a plugin in here, which would be Volume Shaper 5. Onto the first operator, please. Thank you. And there we go. So basically what we're just doing now is Volume Shaper 5 and all the other volume shapers, they are audio plugins. So they're not synths, so they can't be triggered automatically by MIDI. So you have to actually send MIDI to the audio plugin for it to, be triggered by MIDI. And you can do that with grouping whatever synth you have, then creating a new chain and create an external instrument, which is basically just a MIDI host, pretty much. And you just send the MIDI information to the plugin. Make AO8 claps. Yes, I do. But I'll get to that in a second. We will be making that as well. We're also going to be making a clap. But what I like to do here is now put it to beat. Maybe 1/2. And then just create this little curve. And then I'm going to actually not go to beat once, but I'm going to go to hertz. And now I can change the speed of that volume shaper. And then what I can do I can go to the operator and click on fixed and turn it up. And now you can actually hear we just have that little beep with a very nice little fade out. And then what we can do is we can add, if we want, we can add a little bit of pitch envelope. But what I personally like to do with these trap snares is actually go to the operator section. And you don't really have to understand this whole thing, but just for a trap snare to sound really cool, it's nice to add a second harmonic and have it sort of like this. And let's make this a little bit faster. Just sounds really, really cool. It doesn't sound cool right now, but it'll sound cool in a second. And now what we can do, this is really cool, because you can have this whole trap snare in just one channel. We're gonna hit Control D to duplicate the channel. And what we're gonna do here is we're also gonna duplicate the external instrument and go to the second. So we have pretty much the same thing. We're gonna delete the operator and just replace it with a new one. And what we can do now is, let's just slow this down, is we can change this to something like noise looped. Click to fixed. Turn this up. And now we can actually do something like this. And then we can actually also add an EQ and just high pass it like crazy with a... And when we do this and just layer it, let's just take this down a little bit. We get something like that. Let's go over here. We have it like that. That sounds weird right now, which is fine. It sounds weird right now, but that's totally fine, because now what we're going to do is we're going to add the clap. And the clap is going to give it that very nice trap kind of feel. So we're going to, again, duplicate the external instrument and the operator. But this time, we are going to delete the volume shaper and we're going to add an LFO tool, which can do very similar things. And we're going to select LFO tool, and then we're going to go to the note trigger, change that to envelope. I know this is all very complex, but to all the producers that are currently watching that are, you know, more advanced, this is just some really cool stuff you can do. And then you can add these little weird spikes, and then the third one goes like that. And what's really cool here is that you can turn these three off, and then you can that's still on okay, let's just turn this one off. It should. Why is it still playing? Oh. Yeah, I think the LFO tool is bugged. My bad. Sometimes it does that. And send that to LFO tool. See how it should actually take away all of the volume, but it doesn't. That's unfortunate. Why does it not do that? What is happening? You see this? Okay, let's just not use. Okay, let's just not use the LFO tool. Let me think. Let's use. Okay, let's just use volume shaper again then. My bad. This is all very confusing. Sometimes LFO tool just does that. It's weird. But yeah, let's just try and recreate the same thing. So it goes down. Whoops. Goes back up. Come on. Like that. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just use serum. Ignore that. Ignore all of that. We're just going to use serum. We're just going to create a clap in serum. Really quickly. Go to noise. Let's pick bright white. put LFR1 onto it. And then we're just going to add these little points here. And then we're just going to do that. So it's supposed to look like this. And they're going to put it on envelope. And you're going to turn off the BPM. And now you can hear. Let's also add another LFO. Actually, no. Actually, yeah. Let's put it like that. And then, yeah. There you go. And now you can change the rate. So you can have it more like a clap or less like a clap. And then what you can do is you can add a bandpass. Turn it on. Like that. And then add some distortion. And then we can add an EQ afterwards. That sounds more like a clap, right? Let's add the volume shaper back in. So we can go in here and just make sure this looks alright. As you can see. Put this to beat one. There we go. So now we have a nice little clap going. And when we layer the clap with this this little thing and this thing. Let's go in here. It sounds weird right now, which is fine. Let's play around with the... But now what we can do is we can add, for example, something like drum bass and actually mix everything together. And you can hear that sounds so much more like a snare, like a trap snare. Now let's freeze that, flatten it, and now you can, for example, just pitch around. Oh. And that's how you have your little personal trap snare. That sounds super cool. And then you can play around. For example, you can add some transient to it if you want. The same with the kick. Or you can obviously play around with the pitch and then go to the oscillator. Super cool. I love it. And then obviously you can make it short sounding by just cutting it and then just making it super quick. Like that. A really, really cool little snare. And then obviously you can, if you would just want to, have it super quick. So one really cool thing is you can have it super quick. But if you want it still to be the same pitch, you can use the frequency shifter and pitch it back down. So you can have it quick and quicker. And you can create pretty much new little cool snare tricks. The same thing works with a regular dubstep snare. So we can pitch it up like crazy and then just take a frequency shifter and have it sort of the same tonality as before, which is really, really nice. There we go. All right. So that was the drum synthesis we've gone over. Now I guess it would be mixing and mastering. Let me just check Twitch as well. We've still got 14 people watching, which is nice. We've got 60 people watching on YouTube, which is also nice. So what do you guys want me to do next? Is it mixing, mastering? Is it rolls? Is it some kind of challenge? Any questions? I think I'm gonna do track reviews in another live stream. I'm gonna just do like a dedicated live stream for like an hour. Do you do any additional processing on your sidechain audio channel for like doing the mix or anything? No, I don't do that, and I don't recommend it. Not on the sidechain channel. Show how you make artworks. It's usually just Cinema 4D for the 3D stuff, and Affinity Photo, which is pretty much just like Photoshop. Can you do base layering? Drop the bass like a freight train hitting a house. Mastering first because mixing is so many things and would take forever. That's true. All right, let's go over to the other project I had. I'm gonna just load it up. And we can just quickly master it. Even though I think I actually went over that in the previous live stream. I think there's a couple of things that I went over in the previous live stream, but I have been streaming for 7 hours, and I bet no one wants to watch 7 hours of me constantly switching from my DAW to the stream just to see the comments and the chat. You're gonna be saving this. I've got to head off now. Yes, I will. It'll be the second live stream video on my YouTube. Very thanks for sticking by. Now the stream is a little slow. I'm just getting into it. I don't do this very often, but I definitely do enjoy it because I just love talking in English. Hello, tunes to the stream. I'm glad the whole Twitch thing is working out with the restream. Oh, by the way, guys, if you're new, you can just you can just hit that follow button on Twitch. I might do some exclusive streams there with like donations and stuff on as well. You watched the entire thing. Well, man, damn. Well, you're the real MVP. For header, I have already gone over the meat rack. I think you can go to the YouTube live stream and head back about an hour, I think. Yeah, your own kick and snare. I just recommend it because you can just... The cool thing about making your own drums is that you can make them fit to the mix instead of having to find the drums that fit to the mix. If that... Okay, it's hard to explain, but like... I personally don't like when I'm using someone else's kick because the kick and the snare are so important in bass music. The drums in general. And I want... Not just only my sound design, but also the kick and snare. I just want them to be my own. It's just I guess it's just an OCD thing, I guess. I mean, there's nothing bad about using someone else's drums, but it just feels cooler to have control. Hi, Crips. You've watched 5 hours of it, damn. It must be exhausting to just watch 7 hours of one guy just like talking. Do you tune your drums? No, I don't tune my drums. I don't think it's necessary. People saying that you have to have your drums tuned to the certain key doesn't... I don't know. I don't think... If the thing is the kick or snare is going to sound good the way it sounds. If you change the key, if you change the fundamental, it may just not have the same like harmonic relations between all of the, different types of frequencies you have. And it's hard to explain, but a snare that is a high pitch is going to resonate different in a room or in a club than a snare of a lower pitch. And I think the same applies for a kick. Stream Fortnite right now. I won't. I'm actually tempting. You're actually making me, you're tempting me to do that, but I will not. I will not. Maybe I'll stream Blackout, but nice. Are you gonna make a sample pack someday? Probably, yeah. I mean, as you can see, it's not really too hard to make kicks and snares and hats and rides and crashes. I mean, crashes are probably still hard to do. But I will probably do a sample pack. I could probably stream a game like Blackout or like Black Ops. I just really like it. I'm glad to see good producers sharing the craft and helping others. I really appreciate it. No problem. I enjoy doing you guys. If I wouldn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it, you know? Black Ops sucks. Battlefield 5 is much better. Yeah, honestly, I got Battlefield 5 for a while. I played it a bit, but I guess it's just I'm just growing out of games a little bit. But Battlefield 5, the beta was a lot worse, but the game is really good now. We released the compressor patcher in FL. Oh, I wish I still had FL 12 installed. FL Studio 20. I only have FL Studio 20 installed. I wish I could show you all the plugins I did. It was crazy. What is Black Magic? Black Magic is a little trick I'm using to boost my drums outside the project or outside the song artificially by just layering the exact same signal over the existing drum. And that way you can just get a lot more punch out of it without having to destroy the drum sample. Sometimes it's good to destroy the drum sample because it'll just sound beefy. But me personally, I just like clean drums. Change recorder file and make an entire tune out of it. The thing is, when people like say use an audio sample and make an entire tune out of it, you can literally use anything and make an entire tune out of it. It's just like you can just take the little tiniest bit of the audio sample and, you know, make a wavetable out of it and then make a huge virtual riot bass out of it. But maybe if there's a specific sound I really like, I could probably try that. Are you going to save the stream? Yes. Will you leave the stream? I won't. I mean, yeah, I will leave it on YouTube. How do you come with catchy whoop bassline? I feel like you just get a feel for it after a while. What works and what doesn't. Okay, let's go. So mastering. Let's go over mastering. So I'm gonna just play this tune again. I'm gonna turn off the music here. This is already -6. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna just play it. I'm gonna just turn off the mastering for now. This as well, even though this is quite important. I love Sultan. No homo.
You'll never be alone. 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 You'll never be al
So this is a tune I started. I actually had a different drop for it. I think I still have the file on my desktop. Let me check. I'm gonna be right back. Check that rhymed. Is it this? Let me check. Yes, I found it. Here we go. Go back to scene, close that. So this is what I had before as the drop. But I decided to actually just make another tune out of the drop. Because it is so super rhythmic. So yeah, this is still cool, but I felt like it was too dark. The mood change was too much because the intro is super happy and stuff. So I decided to just go with something that's more vibey, a little bit more rhythmic, you know. But yeah, this is like more like old school kind of stuff. I feel like I love it though. I love it. Anyways, let's master this. So I'm usually not a fan of EQing my master, but for this tune I did it because I wanted to get that sort of old school vibe. And I feel like when you don't EQ your master, I usually just end up having too many highs and too many sort of 8 kilohertz area stuff going on, and then the sub is okay, but it could be more. So I actually added this Ozone 8 vintage EQ because what's really cool about these kind of EQs is that because they don't give you so much control, as a sort of more of a broad control, you end up doing things that you wouldn't usually do with, for example, something like Pro Q. Like in Pro Q, you can be very specific about things, you know? You can be very surgical. You can turn this down and turn this up like crazy, and you can do this thing, and then you can do that thing, or this stuff. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff and be very, very specific. But with this EQ, you kind of it's very simple, and I like that. So I took down some of the highs, took down some of this kind of area. Oh, whoa, wrong one. I'm just sick of hearing rhythm, to be honest. Not even sound design catches me anymore. Yeah, I feel like we're getting a little bit numb to it. And it's not a good thing because, like, sound design, we're pushing so much on sound design when we should be pushing more on composition. And at some point, I feel like sound design is going to be so complex and it's going to be so competitive between artists that the only artists that are going to be really, really big is the ones that have the best sounds. And that shouldn't be something we should be striving for. We should be striving for composition skills and for the idea behind a drop. You know? Obviously, there's still a lot of good tunes. For example, 1-2 by VR is one of my favorites right now because it's taking the best of both worlds. But yeah, I just wish we could go, a couple years back again and appreciate what's been done back then. Because composition was such a big thing. Like, try making a 2014 kind of track without just using FM from B. And try making a really, really good, catchy drop. It's hard, It's easy to just rely on good sound design and just make a 1/4 pattern. That still sounds cool, but you know, even everything of like old Zomboid stuff is really cool. So that's why I decided to go with a more rhythmic drop. And I don't know why the first part just kind of reminds me of Dr. Ozzy. I think he had a track. But yeah, let's master this. So that was the first thing I added, was this EQ. And then what I would personally usually do is just use Ozone 8. Let me open it up. And these are just some very simple things. So for me personally, I don't really do a lot mastering-wise. It's because I feel like the magic lies in the mixdown. And the mastering should just be something that sort of prepares the track for online listening. So I usually just do this, just a strong low cut at around like 26 hertz, and then just a little bit less highs, because when you really want to smash that tune loud on your speakers or on your headphones, you don't want your highs to be harsh in any way. And then dynamics, I usually just drag these down a little bit, just sounds better. And I go to this all section, and so what's really important here is that depending on the ratios of the compressors, the different compressors you have in here, it's gonna EQ your mix a certain way. So what I like to do is have, say, the higher ratio at 7, the middle ratio at 4, then the lower band at like 4. This one was on 5, my bad. And then the lows at 6. And I pretty much just leave everything else. And what I do then is I turn the input down all the way, and then I push it a little bit. And once you start seeing those compressors doing something, they go above that threshold. Feel that spot where you feel comfortable. And get rid of the maximizer. And then I just leave it like that. Just a little bit of multiband compression, not too much. Because what can happen, what you really just want this to do, is whenever you have a sound where you didn't realize, oh shit, that has like a ton of highs, but you just didn't hear it while mixing, or that has like a ton of lows, or a ton of mids, this compressor is just going to make sure that that doesn't ruin the mix. And then you should just add an imager, turn these down a bit again, turn up the highest one a little bit, and then sort of have it gradually go down. And then the low band I just turn down to like 100, and then turn the bandwidth down. Not all the way, because sometimes you have like a really deep and wide intro with like a, you know, let me just do it in like a second, literally. When you have this bass, or this sound, let me just open it up. Literally this. That has a ton of stereo in the lows, and you don't really want to get rid of those because it sounds cool. So that's why I don't go all the way. Whoops. That's why I don't usually go all the way down, because you still want to keep a little bit of it in there. And then I add in dynamic EQ at 3.5 kilohertz, and turn it up. Turn on the release. So whenever you have something, for example, vocals or something, they say something. When they have these, you know, the S noises, this is going to make sure that whatever you have in your song is not going to ruin your ears. Turn off the other ones. And I think that's about it. Then what I do is a very easy step. And it's actually quite brilliant, because it just makes sense. I add another Ozone 8. And then all I use is the dynamics and the maximizer. And on the maximizer, what you would usually do, right? When you'd be like, okay, I want to make things loud now. Just turn it to IIC4, turn on the character, and just push it. Yes and no. because when you do that, you don't really have control, or you don't really see when you're pushing too much. And you can definitely look at the RMS. Okay, that's definitely too much, but a really nice and easy way to sort of just fix this issue is by not having it push anything, turning it off, and then going to the dynamics, getting rid of 2 bands. So you only have the lows and the mids and highs. And then I'm going to turn this down a little bit, just a tiny bit. And I can go over to the lows. Also, turn off the parallel. You don't want any compression in these. You can see, if I just solo it and look at the master output, I can push the volume of it until it gets to 0 decibels. And you can see, whoops, was lagging a little bit. Over here, it's a little bit too much, so let's go with like 8 decibels. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, let's go with 9.6. Sometimes it goes a little bit over, but that's fine. Most generally, it should never go over. So this is a good number. So 9.6. Okay, that's where the sub is. It's never going to go over 9. Over the sub is never going to go over 0 decibels. Pretty much. That's what you don't. That's what you want. And then from there on, you can just start with 9.6 with the mids and highs, turn on the maximizer, and from there on, you can kind of just play around with the mids and highs. You push it. Usually it's just too much, so what I like to do usually is just actually have it lower than the sub. Just makes it, not as loud as other tunes, but when you're actually playing it loud, just the sub just sounds a lot better. Then I copy those over to the Blackmagic to have it pretty much be the same signal, and then turn it on. I think I forgot the vocals in that part. The Blackmagic thing is pretty much just what I'm doing is just rooting the kick. So if I go in here, if I go into drums, for example, I have my kick, which is, again, this is the oh no, I actually just rendered it out and put it into if I go to my kick, you can see I'm just pushing it by just sending it outside of the track, outside of the song, and then just adding a transient shaper so that I only left with the transient of the kick. So if I go and, for example, create a new audio channel, and I select this kick channel down here, this is what it essentially looks like. This is the initial kick that is inside of the project, but this is now played outside of the project and layered on top. And by doing that, you can artificially just make your drums sound louder, because you're technically clipping them above the mastering. And by doing that, you don't have to destroy your drums. You can just, have them super loud. So, for example, I could go totally overboard. And it would actually sound like that on SoundCloud. And people would be like, well, how did he get his drums so loud and clean, How did someone get his drums so loud and clean? But I'm not saying he does it this way, but it's a very clean way to do it. I figured it out a couple of months ago, and it's great because you don't really have to focus so much about having your drums sound tight in your mix sound. You can just use this technique, and they will automatically fit in. But yeah, that's how I would go about mixing and mastering. Again, it's very simple. A lot to do with the actual mixing process, to be honest. It's just two ozones doing some stuff, and I said there's no magic formula here. All right, let me check this chat on Twitch first. The main noise elite and the Kill the Noise remix of Only Want has been the target of my recreations lately, and I can't get it just right. I will check it out maybe later. If you get around to it later, I'm always wondering how do you make this reverb between basses. Okay, so the reverb between basses is just the same sort of signal, reverb signal. It's pretty much just a full wet signal and a full dry signal. So that's the wet signal. This is a dry signal. And then what I'm doing is I'm sidechain compressing the wet signal with the dry signal, so that when the dry signal is playing this signal, the wet signal actually gets compressed down. And that's how when the dry signal stops playing, the wet signal comes back up, and then I can, change the release. But you can also do it artificially and just automate the volume at the reverb, which I also did in here. So it's like, so you can hear that works as well. Just takes a little longer. Hablo un poco de español. Un poco. But yeah, that's how I mix and master. All right, let's go back to the poll. So we're done with the meat rack, which I explained. We are done with the drum synthesis, the mixing and mastering, now the growl sound design. Okay, so I can, for example, I'm not sure if I want to go into the growl I made in here, which is, I think, this one. You have another version here. And but you can honestly, making growls is super easy. Let me open up a new project. So the idea behind a growl usually is that it's man, I think too complex about these things, but it's a ton of what was it called? No, wait. It's a ton of wait, what's the name again? So these are harmonic frequencies, and these are non-harmonic. I think it was harmonic and non-harmonic. Was it? Can anyone in the chat let me know? This is a harmonic frequency, and this is a non-harmonic frequency. Or inharmonic. Is anyone in here that can approve? Was it harmonic and inharmonic? I think it was. Non-harmonic? Yes, I think. Yeah, overtone, right. Harmonic and inharmonic overtones, or anharmonic overtones. So the idea is when you have a sound, for example, the saw wave, it sounds very beefy, right? Like you can hear it has that grit to it. Well, when you listen to a square wave and you look at the harmonics and the overtones, you can see it's only the these are actually inharmonic. So these are inharmonic harmonics, I think, or harmonics, one of the two. So it's pretty much every second one. Well, for example, I think the sine wave is the first one. No, the sine wave is just one, right? Let's see if we actually have one that's the other way around. I don't think. Well, this is another good example. So you can see it's only always the second ones. And once we start adding the ones in between, it sounds more gritty. Let me play it. Did you get rid of them? Oh, this sounds, I think we messed it up. Oh no, we're just too low, okay. So when we start adding more, we kind of eventually end up with the saw wave, which looks like this. And so basically, the idea is just that you want to use that kind of sound to create a growl because that's super easy. So for example, if we go with an high pass filter, doesn't really sound like a growl. But for example, if we go in here like this, right there, okay? So if we have a bass like that, and let me put the mute rack on. Again, this is kind of complex, but once you get this idea, it's super easy to make rolls. So, for example, if we go inside, and I think Virtua had this once in his very old Serum tutorial, you can go into multis, and you can go to process squarify. And what it does, again, it only leaves the inharmonic or harmonic overtones, and that's how you get this terror squad sound. And you can tell now it doesn't sound like a growl anymore. Well, if we go back, it sounds like a growl again. So when we actually go back in here, we can probably add not really. Never mind that. But anyways, so that's kind of the idea, that you have both harmonics in there. And that's why you usually shouldn't use a sound like that. That's just a square harmonic kind of thing. But that was kind of just me trying to actually figure something out, but it didn't work. Anyways, ignore that. Use bent notes, pretty much. That's it. Just use bent notes. Or you can do it other ways. And what I also recommend is using something like a vocoder before you're processing. Once you do that, you can get some really... You can get some more interesting sounds because it's kind of just making the sound very watery. Which is cool. And I actually made a little effect here as well, which I call vocoder. And it does the same thing. You can hear instead of that like old 2014 kind of growl. But there's other ways to do it as well. I actually have a preset. I made a little thing here which I called what is it? Instrument rack. I called it hybrid, actually. Yes, it's actually an effect. So for example, if we just get rid of this and we play this, and let's get rid of the filter and this as well, and we add the hybrid, it instantly turns it into a Skrillex growl, almost like something like a Skrillex growl. Henasco, other user formulas to the parser, stuff to waveforms there. To the parser? What do you mean with parser? Let me turn this one off and this one. So that just turned this into this. Okay. And I could probably do the same thing with a saw wave, but just pick a saw wave. See it without? That's great. Very similar effect. Pretty cool. Oh yeah, I almost like for FM kind of sounds, I always use verify. Wants to know your location. That's a good one. And it actually works on FM bases as well. So you can probably do something like this and have sort of a crazy modulation going on. It's really cool. And one of the cool things about it is that when you start using, for example, if you go into the noise oscillator and start using things in there as sort of your actual sound, I have this tiger I snatched from a YouTube video, and he roars sometimes. Let me actually play the... So for example, if I send that into... Maybe I need to make it louder. Let me see. Let me turn these on as well. You get some really weird stuff. Oh yeah, this was Minecraft music actually. Let me play it itself. But yeah, so you can just like create crazy racks and put it on stuff, and sometimes it does cool stuff. And the same goes with growls. Just when you make a growl, and you can sort of, for example, what I did here is I had all the Serum stuff I did inside of Serum, and sort of just migrated it over to Serum FX, as you can see. And I can then just use Serum. For example, even like actual wavetables, use it in the noise oscillator. Like I had these spectral ones here. Pretty cool, right? You can just go through. and you can get some crazy stuff out of it. It's always, obviously, it's not like just like, oh wow, this is crazy, but how am I going to use this in a song? You know, that's always important as well. So, yeah. All right. So let's see. Yeah, even on odd harmonics. Exactly, that's what it was. Okay, some people got onto the Twitch. Hello, Shapim, Tida, Tunes, eBay. These are nothing. Venom. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, so we've gone over the growl sound design, and usually what I would do is just grab Serum, grab some kind of wavetable. Someone just subscribed, I think. Okay, I can't pronounce that, but thanks for the subscription. You can take really any wavetable and just turn that into a growl by using Band Plus. And then, I would usually use my vocoder plugin and turn this down a little bit. And then something like strong compression and saturation. If it would load. Thank you. That's actually the growl song you can hear right now. It's made the same way. And you already have that sound. I think the reason why it sounds like this is because you're pushing, what are they called again? Overtones. You're pushing them into sort of a, into this kind of thing, where FM8 had it with the formants. So what you're essentially doing is just pushing the frequencies into a specific direction, and by that you're creating this weird. Yeah, just it's really, really cool. Try the elephant sound, bro. I use an elephant sample. Would probably work as well. Like I made a song with Macros Classic. Using elephant. Oh yeah. Just subtronic. On processing formulas into the place. Oh yeah, totally. Totally. That's very interesting as well, yeah. All right. So we've gone over a lot of the stuff. We've got. Can I just like get rid of this? We've got this. FM synthesis with operator, maybe a little bit too complex. Drum synthesis. We got growl sound design. We got vocal processing. I can probably go over to the other tune and just show you what I did with the vocals there. If the people that actually requested it are still here, obviously. Oh shit, we don't have any music on. I forgot. I was like, this is super quiet. Can't load it in because Ableton is loading the project. Great. Come on. What? Oh, great. Great. Have a good night, CB. Resample to oscillator A, maybe. Yeah, it's Splice. The vocals I got from Splice, it's Kara. I actually used her once as well. Her vocals in Losing Myself, I think it was. Yeah. Can you go through intro sound design and arrangement? What exactly do you mean? Like, what kind of sound design? How do you match the tempo of the vocals so perfectly in the song you were working on? Just know what the previous BPM was and then just warp it inside of Ableton. Let's go. Just wanted to say you're gay. Oh, great. Oh, great. Great. Did you know, actually, my... In Streamlabs, my thing for, I think it was donation, is actually the Ableton Live.
This is a test donation for $1.
A serious program error has occurred. Because it has the same amount of shock value, of shock factor. That's why I decided to put it in. I mean, everyone loves donations, right? And everyone hates Ableton crashing, so it kind of fit. You did not see my desktop there, okay. I know it's messy. I know it's messy, you don't have to tell me. Could you do intro composition? I think intro composition is quite tedious to look at. I mean, actually sound design is probably more tedious. Maybe in another stream, but I did that last time. What is the expensive software and what is it with expensive software and crashing? Exactly. Show us to ask for... Can you show us how to warp them vocals? Yeah, I can show you in a second. Once I actually loaded the project. Can you show us how... Yeah, okay, wait, I already saw that. Did you go over what's in the meat rack? Yeah, I did. You can go onto the YouTube live stream. I mean, you are on the YouTube live stream. You can just go to the beginning. We did a little poll in here, and obviously a lot of people wanted to see what was inside the meat rack. Went over it. I'm just scared to play like other people's music on my stream because I don't want YouTube to be like super angry about it. Do you generally ignore your meters in Ableton as long as it doesn't sound bad? I usually have something on the channel that makes sure that it doesn't clip or it doesn't go beyond 0 decibels, because if it does, then it might affect the whole mix down more once you're mastering, which I don't want. Drop arrangement, please. I feel like drop arrangement is just a matter of practice, you know? Such as, for example, beatboxing, when you're doing certain rhythms, and then once you do it more and more and more, oh, I didn't actually save this, damn. You eventually get used to it, and then you're able to, you know, do more different rhythms that you previously couldn't do. It's just about doing it over and over and over and over and over again. But yeah, the vocals. We get in here. Okay, so these are the main vocals, I think.
You'll never be alone. You'll never be alone. You'll never be
alone. James, I already went over that on in this stream as well. Can we copy strike NASCAR? Stop. And here as well. One of the reasons why I love Ableton is because I'm able to do stuff like this. This is not what it originally sounded like. Let me just turn off the warping on all of these. That's what it would sound like if you were to try and do this in, for example, it's called FL Studio. Just Ableton's sampling system is just really, really good. And it allows you to, you know, play around with timbres and formants and warping and all that kind of stuff. And then you can sort of create your own little melodies. For example, this would have initially sounded like this. And I just picked different bits of it and then just merged them together, and then it sounds like this. So I made a completely new thing out of something else. And then if you combine that with the vocals, those are not the vocals, they're up here.
You'll never be alone.
Sounds really, really cool. And then I did the same thing here, where it went higher. Would have initially sounded like this. It's crazy what you can do. And okay, let me just copy over the vocals into a new channel, and let me just play them without anything on.
You'll never be alone. You'll never be alone. You'll never be alone.
And then I just, I think I used the same key. It was actually the same speed as well. I don't even think I warped these.
You'll never be alone. You'll never be alone.
I think I made this shorter though. No, actually I didn't. Why is there like a cut here? Oh yeah, I pitched this down, so it would have initially sounded like this. And that was a really weird little thing she did there. So I just decided to pitch it down. Because if you listen to it in the mix, if it would have been up like this, it would have sounded weird. That's why I pitched it down. And then in here as well. Would have initially sounded like this. It's like, why is she... I don't know why she does that thing. And I actually didn't do too much with the vocals here. The only crazy thing here is, again, this. It's kind of what I'm proud of. Just like the manipulation of the vocals there. But what's on the vocals is actually a little bit more interesting. So obviously these vocals are super dry. So what I did first is I auto-tuned them with Livestream real time. This is a really nice auto-tune because it never goes overboard. It almost always sounds good. And then I used the glue compressor to just compress it a little. Why did I do that? It was already compressed, whatever. And then an echo, which is really nice. Let me turn off all of the other ones first. Which was a new addition with Ableton 10, Ableton Live 10. I love this thing because this is just like a ping pong delay on drugs, pretty much. And then a Valhalla Room, my favorite reverb. Then compression to just glue things together. And then just an EQ. This was super simple. Then I have another layer down here. The Livestream plugin is very simple. You just pick whatever key you're in, and then you just pick the type of key. So it's either major or natural or minor. And then you just set the speed and the note transitions, and you're Gucci, pretty much. The thing is, there is one really, really, really powerful thing about Ableton combined with Autotune. And that's another thing as to why you don't necessarily need something like Melodyne. So one of the cool things, for example, is you can actually, if you have, say, really, really... Okay, I'm just going to copy over this channel. If you, for example, even record your own vocals, or you have vocals that are not in tune at all, right? Like if I... let's just imagine... This is completely out of tune.
You'll never be alone.
So if I turn this off, it does sound fine without the autotune.
You'll never be alone.
Let's just imagine we have a super bad singer that just doesn't hit the notes at all. And once we turn on the autotune, it does this kind of stuff right here. It just has a stroke. That's one of the really cool things about Ableton, because you can just chop it up like that and then just pitch it with a complex pro algorithm. And and then pitch it to a point where the autotune reacts far better to it. The mixer. And again, the thing is, these vocals are already good, but just imagine if those vocals were recorded this way. We could technically just whatever thing you have. Let's see if we. For example, this part right here. We can actually pitch it down till it sounds like that. Till it sounds really cool. Or pitch it up. So you basically have Melodyne, but just, you know, you can just tweak things manually, which is amazing. Because you can do it on the spot. How great is that? I actually did it here as well for the vocal. It initially went like this, but then I changed it down. And actually, as you can hear over here, it has a little bit of vibrato, like this, like autotune thing going on because it's not perfectly in pitch, like that. But I actually like that. It has a little bit of that. And I would probably also, one more thing I would do here is I feel like this little part right here is a little bit too dry. So what I would do is, it's actually hard to look at because these are like, these need to be collapsed. There we go. So we'll go in here probably and just introduce. We'll just do it like that. I did actually automate the volume a little bit here. As you can see up here, I did go down. I think I think I went down like 2 decibels because it just got too loud in the build-up. But yeah, sometimes I do that because it just gets too loud, and then it combined with the auto filter I have on here, it just gets too loud. All right, E. Yo, diatomic. But yeah, that's I think we've gone over a lot of things, and let me know if there's any little challenges or any little things you still want to know, or you've been wondering about. The saw patch in the intro. You mean the saw stacks, the super saws? No problem, Rings. Can you go through this intro? I can, yes. So the first thing I have in here, as you can hear, the first thing that is immediately apparent is the tick, and it's in here. think the effects. No, where's it at? The drums, yes. I don't know why it's in drums, even though it's a clock sound, but whatever. This clock sound from Splice, and it initially sounded like this. Just create a new audio channel. So this is what it initially sounded like. I can't. Okay, here we go. I love that. Makes me feel at home. And then I pitched it up quite a lot and kind of repeated it with some ping pong. And then I have, I think these are claps coming in. Really nice. Very nice. Some melodic elements actually in here are the chords, and I made them a very interesting way. I'm using a technique where I use the chord and scale function. And this technique is really cool because it allows you to just have instant chords that are in key. It's a really cool technique. And I use that to sort of create this I can probably check out the mob base in a second. And then I also have another bunch of layers here. This is the main source stack layer, which is just serum and two super source. So what I usually do is have one that's quite detuned, and then the other one is 1 octave higher and super detuned. And then I have another one, I think it's Spire. Then I have another one here that's serum again, which is just like a high intense late, and then the base layer. Does the order of the chord and scale matter? Absolutely. So I'm gonna show you what it sounds like without. So for example, this. I'm gonna just turn off the. I'm gonna just turn it around and see what it sounds like. Because what it's doing here now is just applying more notes, just more relative notes, without really any sense, without any musical sense. And with this scale function, it just fixes those notes. And yes, Cribs, you can get the skin from Lance Factory. You can go on here and you can download it. It's really, really good. But yeah, so these are the chord layers. They're also in here. This is a very clean chord, actually. It's not even using any unison, making it stereo through Ableton Imager. And then I have the vocals in here, which are also ping-pong delayed and bit crushed a ton, actually. And what I love about bit crush is this one right here, the bits. It just sounds like it's making everything crunchy and just like really gate-ish. That's how you can hear sort of the ping-pong delay just slowly fading away and then just getting crunchy. And yes, I made the bit too. So. the vocals in the build-up, I was kind of inspired by like Zomboy's older kind of vocal samples. I actually recorded myself saying something. I don't know. Should I play it? Let's see. I pitched it up.
game on now.
This is actually me. This is actually myself. This is me just saying, "Get your game on now." Then I just pitched it up and made it fast.
Get your game on now.
Oh god, the cringe.
Get your game on now.
And then I just layered them
Get
together.
your game on now.
And then I think I resampled them and I actually added. I also added a pitch shifter. And what I did here is I pitch shifted it down one semitone and then mixed it in. So you have like six people saying the same thing at the same time. And it just gets like, it just sounds like this huge crowd. And I think I actually did it twice. Yeah. With actually almost a semitone up. So it's a total of, oh my god, it's a total of, so this is 3 people. Then we've got 6. So we've got 12 people saying, get your game on now. And it's kind of crazy. This is what it would sound like without. Very clean. Then you add the first layer. And then the second one. And then I think in vocal synth, I just, I just pitched it. Actually, I didn't do shit here. Where's this on? Wait. Oh yeah, just to give some stereo width, actually. And then some post-processing. It does not say good again. The first bass that in the drop that stutters. Someone asking on Twitch. You mean this one right here, right? It's actually very simple. It's initially it's just this. Let me turn off the crystallizer. This is just the bass I made in Massive. I think I actually still have the patch in the workstation. Serum. Oh, this is all Serum, so I replaced it already. But this is a Massive patch I did. And then all I'm doing is just adding a volume shaper with a really, like with this curve and then just really fast. Then that going into OTT and all the post-processing from the group. Just makes it sound sick. And then with some crystallizer. Just to add some more weird layer. I think the same went over here. Yeah, I did the same thing, just with a different shape. Very cool. Bang. Pitch shifter, I'm not sure if it's for free. It might be. Okay, just obviously, let's see. It might be free products. The free band EQ is free, the chorus is free, delay, gain, and limiter. The pitch shifter is $19. But I think you can probably use something in Ableton. Not sure. Probably the grain delay, maybe. But yeah, it's a really, really cool plugin. And you can also do something like this, which is really nice. Let me see if I can just load up a single sound. Yeah, let me load up Serum. What's really cool about the pitch shifter as well is, for example, if you use something like Snap Heap, or actually you don't even need Snap Heap. You can let me just load up pitch shifter. Where is it at? I can go to the modulation section. I can use something like LFO from Ableton. And I can just map this bad boy. First, you have to click on configure and move this around. There we go. Map pitch. It's a very clean. You can hear. And then we do it fast. And down the depth. Too much. And then you have some very nice I love it. Or you can just use it on a bass and have it sort of go do some crazy. For example, let me go into the drop. I could probably present it with one of the basses here. For example, this one. I'm gonna load up the snap feedback play because that one has a built-in LFO and it's a lot faster. I'm gonna load up the pitch shifter and the LFO. I'm just gonna and then maybe just oops. You can do something like that, and it has latency compensation, so it works great. And I can actually put that onto my voice as well, which sounds kind of funny. You probably know this from memes. Shifter. So I can literally put this on my voice. Like that. And then it sounds super weird because I'm like, I'm pitching up and down. I've actually had this on for like a whole day without even knowing. Oh yeah, you could hear that weird thing. But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's a really cool pitching plugin, as you can tell. Creators just what about sponsoring? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, let's go back to the project. So again, we have the chord stacks. We have the solo area, and we also have this little arp here. I made little higher. Let me go like overload to the point where you can't understand me anymore like this. It's very good. Let me see. Super hard to understand me, bro. I want to see what it sounds like. Wait. You can hear me twice, bro. Can you hear me twice, bro? Oh wait, I think. Yeah, right. Right. Okay, let me just go back to the normal. Okay, here we go. But yeah, the rest is kind of just like standard stuff. The rest is just like an ARP. I also did this. Did a nice little old school kind of songs, pad kind of thing. But there's actually not a lot going on in the build-up because the vocals are really carrying a lot. But I do have this little cool snare kind of thing I did here. Super fun to do. We'll go to the build-up. And then in here I have the piano. then I have this cool little ARP. And then this. Just a nice little intense plug thing, whatever you want to call it. How to know much stereo, not how much stereo to add to basses and chords or leads. I think you shouldn't care too much, because if you okay, I mean, there is a certain amount of stereo you want to add to your chords. You don't want to go overboard. So what's really cool, for example, is when you have something like the Ozone Imager that can actually tell you if you're going overboard. Let me load it in. So you can see when this line right here goes above 0, or like is really close to the -1. For example, if I just go crazy, let me get these cages stereo. You just get crazy with the amount of stereo. You can see it goes way down here, and that is telling you this is bad. Go back up. No, so just. That's usually how when you know that you're using too much stereo. But sometimes it's actually quite nice to go above and beyond if you want to make a heavy drop and you want some of your basses to have like crazy stereo amounts. You can go in here and see some have more, some have less. And what's really nice, and what's really important, is that not all of your basses should have the same amount of stereo, because that's going to create a sort of bland dynamic. Everything's going to sound the same, and nothing's going to be too exciting. So you want it to be dynamic and, you know, random and interesting. But yeah, I think we've covered a lot today, and I'm about to be taking probably one more request, but I think after that we will probably be done with the stream. Yeah, you can push the stereo with the imager. And no, this song isn't out yet, and I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna finish it either. It's really cool, but I have very strong standards for my songs. All right, let's see. So it's past midnight now, which means that I'm gonna have to go soon. Sub advices. So my sub is quite simple, actually. It's just a sine wave. And then I do use Cadence distortion. What I do here is I have a little bit of bias. And what that does is sort of create more of a saw type sub harmonics. Can't really hear now. But you can hear like that. It sounds like you're like low pass a sub. But just a bit of it, and then just turn down the mix, and then just push it against a limiter, and then just EQ it. That's all. I don't feel like you should overtone your sub too much, because then it's just gonna sound really weird. Just a clean sub sounds best, because it's sort of that fundamental. That sounds really great. Fundamental frequency, I guess. 12:24 a.m. gang, exactly. Gang. You can download the skin at Lance Factory right here. You can probably search for Prometheum for Serum. It's free. He's actually, what's kind of funny, I saw a tweet of him earlier, and he's working on a Serum 98 skin. And I'm actually intrigued because, like, this is kind of dope to be making, like, crazy sounds in something that looks like I've used on my mom's laptop when I was, like, 10. My Panda Ice remix. I'm not even sure if I still have the project. I do have it saved probably online on like my drive, but I don't think I can open it right now. I'll finish it probably when I have time. But yeah, I think it looks crazy old school. But I think we're slowly getting to the end of this. In another stream I might, work on something. Or do a tune or whatever. How did you get in contact with Oscar? He hit me up actually. He hit me up a couple of months ago. And he was like, yo, your tunes are sick. So I'm gonna work on something. It was really out of the blue, but it kind of just clicked between us, and it was like, yeah, I like this guy. He's real. I live 1 hour away from you. No problem. Again, if you wanna, like, we've gone over, let's see. We've gone over the drum synthesis part, the vocal processing a little bit, the roll sound design, the mixing mastering, the meat rack. And the FM synthesis with operator I might do another time because I'm still figuring out things in there. The bass reverb, I already went over that like 5 times in this stream. Let me see how long the stream is actually. Oh, the stream isn't that long. We've been streaming for like 2 hours now. Damn. Okay. Oh, well, no, wait. Definitely streamed longer. 3 hours and 23 minutes. Yeah, I think this is a good time to actually stop. No, we don't have a VIP for live shows. Yeah, I do sidechain with Shaperbox. I use the split frequency function. I will save the stream. 9 hours stream. I think that would be too much. I think 9 hours would be too much. That would just be insane. The 7 hours I did first was fine because my sleep rhythm was so messed up that I could easily, it was like just normal 7 hours of work. That was super fine to do. Any go to VSTs for bit crushed drop sounds. Bit crushed? Probably just bit crusher. This bad boy right here is really, really good because it's got like a ton of options. Can you show the driver rack? Yes. The driver rack right here is just isotope ozone. I know, not isotope ozone. It's isotope trash too. The tape saturator in here. That's all it is. And then when you drive it in, it's just more saturation on the mids and highs and less saturation on the lows, just to keep it from distorting. I might put up more remixes on my secondary account. I actually have a super old remix. Like a super duper old remix of that one tune from I might actually go ahead and download it. I think I might just play it. I gotta go to SoundCloud, sign out, sign into my secondary account. Here we go. See, yeah. So this is a remix I did of that one tune that was like became a meme. It was hide and seek. Like, what you say? And it was a pretty cool remix, but I never really released it. But we can definitely give it a go here as sort of a final thing. I'm stupid. Here we go. Probably too loud. This is 4 months ago. About 4 or 5 months ago. This is a very different type of genre. It was just the fun remix project I did. I think it has like a crazy second drop. But yeah, that was like an old remix, but I never really released it because I don't know. Just go be right back and go back in. There we go. Okay. Well, anyways, it was fun doing the stream again. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm gonna head off now because it's quite late here, and well, I'm not really tired, but I gotta go sleep. And I'll see you guys in another stream. I'll save the stream on YouTube so you can rewatch it and wanna anything about the meat rack and such. Also, to everyone that's new, the Twitch link is in the description if you just want to follow me on Twitch. And I think next stream we can probably start and produce something and do some challenges. And I might actually get a camera soon as well. Not sure about that yet because I don't have the fundings for it right now. But I'll see you guys another time. I'll just close this. Hope you all enjoyed the stream. All right. Have a good night.